workshops. I've also put in, because there's been some curiosity or some interest from folks, a short video on importing, on doing a batch import into Evergreen using records from OCLC connection.
Okay.
So the video demonstrates how you download them from OCLC and then import them into Sage if you're an OCLC subscriber.
David?
Yeah?
Does that batch import use the new method that CADXpress is?
No, and
Okay.
as I'm saying this, I'm realizing that it does not, as well as the fact that it doesn't have a very good title there in the, so I may need to redo that one.
Okay. Well, and that CADXpress is a recent change to how they're having people bring in records, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's all right, though. I have some material I'm cataloging for OTLD Boardman, so I'm sure I'll find a example of it.
Well, just so you all know, that isn't necessarily a totally new change. It's been available, but not everyone has moved over to it previously.
What, the same-day download?
Yes.
Yeah, but now that that's the standard, it ought to be reflected in the video.
No, I agree with that, but I'm just mentioning that not everyone may be unfamiliar with that.
True. I just, with them moving away from, go ahead.
I only say that because when you say the new method, when I first saw the email come out on one of the lists, I went, oh, I better check this out, and I read it and I went, well, that's not new to me. I don't think that's new to a lot of people, but maybe to, a particular area it was brand new, so.
Yeah, I must have missed that one. I don't know what the new method for importing, for batch importing is. So was there a note about it on the cataloging listserv? Maybe
no, I think it was I think it was like the Idaho list or something I saw it on.
Oh, okay.
It used to be that you had to wait a day to download.
It's what?
Or
Yeah,
you have it changed to same day.
This isn't a new thing in Evergreen, it's OCLC.
Okay. Is it, can you just, is it possible to give a little summary of how it's different? Does it use the batch import page?
When we first subscribed to OCLC, when Beth first subscribed Sage as a subscriber to it, you had to go on to Connection, search for the records, and then basically store them in your folder. You couldn't download the files until the next day. And now they have immediate download.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Okay, thank you for letting us know about that. That sounds yeah, good to know. And just I was wondering how it would affect me. So good. Okay, are there any other comments about the training and the resources? All right, we'll move.
Well, yeah, there is one comment I want to make.
Sure.
And I probably should have suggested this maybe for this meeting, but well, we can put it as maybe a suggestion for an item of future business, and that is to sort of officially establish what the requirements are to be a level 1 cataloger.
Okay.
So I have some, I don't know, coursework, I guess you'd call it. It's like exercises in original cataloging that I've put together and shared with Beth. And the videos on YouTube, I think, are going to be something we'll want people to sort of watch and be familiar with those concepts. But the main thing is how, for what period of time do we want somebody to work as a copy cataloger or a level 2 cataloger in Sage before we consider them to have enough on-the-job experience for a move up to level 1 in the absence of their holding a master's degree. Or possibly even we may decide that it's a uniform requirement that everybody needs to put in, say, a few months to a year before they move up to original record creation, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I don't have any real firm opinion. I mean, I would say maybe at least 90 days, you know, but other than that, I'm open to input from the rest of the committee on sort of how much on-the-job experience they consider necessary.
This is Lori.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great suggestion. I know we haven't done that yet, and I think we should put it on the next meeting's agenda toward the top and try to discuss some possibilities.
Right.
Sounds good.
Yep. And just to review, if we could see what is actually, oh, it's downloading it. Does anyone just remember what exactly was said about in the cataloging policy right now about what's required for level 1 cataloging? It's a certain amount of training, or just, is it?
It's not real clearly defined, and so this is an important thing to do, but I think what it did say is that you either had to have a master's degree or you had to attend a certain, attend some professional trainings, which was vague, and then also with the approval of the cataloging committee.
Okay.
So we need to address it, and David's right on the mark. We need to define what it takes and then how long we monitor their work. Great suggestion.
Okay. So yeah, there really is room for codifying that. Okay, let's think about it, and we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting and discuss particulars. Okay, well, speaking of the next meeting, Christine and I were realizing that it's time to choose a new chair for the cataloging committee, and we're hoping that someone feels ready to step into that role. Hopefully for the next meeting, or I could do one more meeting, and but I'm glad to talk to the next person and try and make the transition really smooth. Is anyone interested? Or have any questions about chairing the cataloging committee?
Silence.
Silence. Is anyone super excited to share the committee? So I know some of you have done it in the past, is that right? Lori, have you had some turns?
Lori who?
Well, it's fine. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to put it on you. I just didn't know if you had comments about it or.
Let's discuss it on the listserv, and I think somebody might come forward.
Okay. So
hopefully.
I really, I guess I really need someone to come forward. I've just had a lot of cataloging work. Things have turned up, shifted up at Hood River, and I am not having much time to put into and attention to put to it right now. So I really need someone to take it over. I don't, and so hopefully there's a volunteer. Otherwise, I'm not really sure how we proceed. But but please consider it if you whether you have or you haven't done it before. It's not a complicated thing to do. It's just It just takes a certain amount of attention. Okay. All right. Thank you. So the next piece of new business that I have here, let me pull up the, no, not that one. This one. The agenda is just something that was on the notes from the previous meeting that David suggested new standards section to be a topic for upcoming meetings.
Well, yes.
Figure out what, I'm not sure exactly what you meant, David, so I was just going to bring it up in case we want to talk about it, and then, but we could put it off another month while we clarify too if we need to.
Well, what it is that one of the projects specified in the grant is to revise the cataloging standards manual so that it is RDA compliant.
Okay.
So what I had done then in May and June is undertake a fairly extensive revision of the cataloging standards manual and to incorporate this RDA sort of vocabulary and to summarize the sort of the decision-making process for the benefit of those libraries that don't want to or can't afford to subscribe to RDA Toolkit. Now, noting that this is really a guide to original record creation, and that's what RDA Toolkit is, sort of taking over for Cataloger's desktop, and not everybody does that, and even the people who do that don't do it all the time. So basically, what I've done is written, I'd say, a few thousand words that sort of explain the RDA theory in hopefully easily understandable terms. And I'm thinking that the cataloging standards manual can focus a little more on in that than some of the, well, in the previous version of the manual, it seems to me had a little too much emphasis on the specificities of MARC code that could just as easily, we could just as easily refer people to the Library of Congress MARC standards page or OCLC's MARC standards page for information on which subfield to use when. And the cataloging standards manual should then explain more why and less how. So I was hoping that folks on the committee would have the opportunity to look that over and to offer comments. We did run into a slight problem here in that I posted that on the website to make it accessible to folks, but Beth felt that that would give people the impression that it had been approved as policy already. So I'm not quite sure what the status of that is. Beth has it available for folks, but I don't know how many of you have taken the chance to peruse it.
David, this is Dia. Can I just mention that when those standards were put into place years ago, there wasn't the availability of things like MARC Online and for people to go.
Right, yes, and so
that's part of the reason why it was pulled together, because not everybody had access to all of the materials.
Yeah, but you know, as things change, we want the manual to keep pace with that.
Right, and no one has really had the time to be able to, or the committee's not had the time or the focus to be able to do that.
Okay.
That's why it was put into the grant as part of.
So are the proposed changes available on the website right now?
Not right now. They were available in June, I think. Beth, do you want to take over on this?
I can. I did move David's work into a separate book that I can create a link to, certainly. What I was hoping to do was bring all of our existing standards into a form that was easy to read and allow the comparison to take place, and I'm still working on that, but I can certainly make a link to the draft that David created for sites for people to look at.
To me, that sounds like a good idea, and we could start providing some feedback on it. I guess it depends on what everybody thinks. So if it'd be better to have a kind of a formalized proposal with the comparisons that you're talking about, Beth, because that sounds like really helpful work. But but if it's labor intensive to get to that point, maybe involving the committee kind of earlier on, just letting us be part of it, that it might, I don't know, it might lessen the burden on you a little bit. What does everyone think?
Oh, no, I understand. Maybe I didn't explain it well, and maybe I'll go ahead and put the link to David's work up and indicate in parentheses that it's a draft, so that there isn't confusion.
That sounds great. I think, yeah, I remember after the last meeting there was concern over that. So.
So I think that'll be a good starting point, and maybe we can break it down into sections and review it at future cataloging meetings.
It sounds.
Well, it is broken into sections already. Yeah.
It is. I was talking about maybe bite-sized chunks of not trying to evaluate the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay, and can I just ask everyone, all the catalogers here, to try to take a little time to look over. I don't really know what the sections are, but even if just the first section, whatever that turns out to be, might, if we could try and look at that before the next meeting and bring comments, or we could discuss it on the listserv too. It's always helpful.
This is Lori, and could I please ask that Beth said she's going to send out an email telling everyone how to get into the new web page. That should happen not just once, it should happen repeatedly. And then let's post a section of the catalog for revised standards. And if David would put out an email and say, hey, go here, look at the revised standards, compare them to the old manual. If you have a moment to discuss or share with all of us, please do. I think it has to be pointed out, and I think it has to be a little bit at a time so people actually aren't overwhelmed and can feel like they could tackle 30 minutes here and there.
Yeah, I was actually going to suggest that we might use this as a forum topic to examine and comment on and revise the draft I put together. And also would like to second Lori's suggestion regarding sending out another email with login information for the new website. I was surprised to find actually that John, the librarian at Columbia Gorge Community College, had missed that email. So he may need to be set up with a new, well, I don't know if the old temporary password is still valid or if Beth needs to create a new temporary password for folks who have not yet created a login on the new website.
Actually, they don't create a new login. Everybody has the same login and password.
Okay, well in that case, I guess just send the email out again to everybody.
I will do so.
And are you tracking how many people are visiting the page?
You know, I haven't, Lori, but I certainly can. I won't be able to tell them separately because it's all the same login, but
even that would be sort of like a customer satisfaction survey sort of thing. You would see if people are using it. And I think both of you need to use it as a forum. Suggest people go there as a forum and suggest, these topics that'll help. and then discussing the standards revision. If we start seeing that, as long as everyone is reminded every time how to get into that web page, they might start using it.
Okay.
Okay, I think another email just reminding us how to log in and what's there is a great idea, and that will help too. And then trying to discuss the manual changes through the forum sounds like a very, very good idea. If I think, as was said, if we got an email when that information is available, once it's been posted on the website, that would be helpful too. So.
This is Dia. Can I suggest too that we not just limit ourselves to a forum topic, but it also be during, say, the committee time where people have already set aside time? Because sometimes people don't, they may be gone for an extended time, or they are entrenched in whatever, and they may not be able to be involved in a specific time period.
Okay.
A forum topic. I mean, I've seen that happen in the emails. You just don't have time to deal with this particular one at the moment. You set aside, and all of a sudden, oh, a decision's been made, and you didn't even know what was going on.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me too, especially, I mean, even if we bring, if some kind of consensus is reached in the forum, that we still bring that up at the meeting and discuss it there. Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay. Next on the agenda, let's see. I know Lori brought up the topic of search relevancy as a future topic. Would you like to talk a little bit about what you're thinking about, Lori? What your issue?
Beth and David and I have talked about this, and they, at the Evergreen Conference in May, there were several presenters discussing, or at least one full session discussing weighting your search results, and Beth said she'd be working on using some of those elements.
Yeah, basically the presentation, I can look back over the presentation slide show, but a lot of it had to do with creating additional indexes and weighting those indexes, some of which we've already done. So I was hoping in discussion today that folks that have had poor results, I guess what I'm wanting is some insights into where you're seeing relevancy really needed. Like, what should we concentrate on first? One of the things I found out with very brief records is the fact that relevancy looks at the percentage of those words in the total record compared to those records that you're, those words that you're searching for, the percentage of that in comparison to the total words in the record, which means that brief records will be more highly relevant because there's fewer words in the record. And I don't know whether that makes any sense, but it kind of clued me into the fact that, oh, that's why these things that are really brief are rising to the top, is because the percentage compared to the overall is pretty high. In cleaning up the brief records, that'll help get those into where they should be. But I guess I'm just wondering whether there's other things that people are noticing relevancy-wise that we can target sooner than later.
This is Lori, and in the reverse of that, Beth, what I notice is that the British Anthology of Literature shows up in every search you make. So it's not just the percentage of words. That's a very extensive bit. The problem is any word you put in is going to end up there because we're searching summary with every bit as much weight as we do title and author.
Okay, so we need to reduce how summaries are considered?
I think several fields. Your number one weight, it would seem to me, would be author, title.
Yeah, and those are the number one weights as far as how they are weighted in the system. But I'll look at the index weights again
I guess this is,
in respect to,
I,
yeah.
oh, sorry, Beth. To me, it seems like, right, we could lower the weight of certain, you know, of, I mean, if it's possible, lower the weight of keywords in, or author title, you know, in, say, 505 fields in the contents or something, that
Yeah,
would be a good, you know, to have those. We don't want the anthologies to be at the top of the list by any means, but I mean, they're supposed to come up, right? I mean, they just have
Yeah.
titles and authors in there.
David, let me jump in with a second here. One of the things that I've been seeing with the RDA cataloging and that I've been trying to reflect in my training is to put less emphasis on capturing all of this information in the formatted contents and summary fields, and to push it further down into the 700 fields, to have those be the preferred access points for author names and for titles in an anthology.
But then they would come, that will bring these resources up. It seems like that would increase their relevancy. I mean, I guess I don't really know how the 505s are weighted compared to the 700s, but then you really have proper authors, you know, even if there's...
Right, I'm just saying that we have kind of a choice there in weighing the search results between those two sets of fields.
Okay.
That doesn't solve our issue with current records that are in the system either, and how they come up, unless we do a lot of cleanup.
Well, I've been doing a lot of cleanup, and I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I'm just throwing out too as a possibility that, you know, if we move that direction forward, that's fine, but that doesn't solve our back issues with weighting of relevancy and whatnot.
Okay, well, I will look at the summaries. Is there any other area that you guys want me to look at between now and the next meeting?
I don't know if this is exactly related, but we're still dismayed by how many empty bibs come up from our client searches. You know, when we're working from our stations. I know you assured me the public doesn't see this, but it's
Yeah,
still 30-40% of the returns will be empty bibs, and we don't understand why they're there, and we don't understand why they show up like that.
Are they government documents
No,
primarily?
No, they're not.
Okay. You know, the next time that happens, could you send me the search result? Because I'd really like to, or the search keywords. Are you narrowing it down to Harney County?
I think we've done that too, and it still shows up from the client. But it can be Cheryl almost exclusively works from Harney County. I work stage-wide, you know, because I'm searching for records or similar records. But I mean, I have done this repeatedly, Beth, and what you do is you fix those dozen or so, and then we still don't solve it.
Yeah, no, I've
I don't know
actually
why.
deleted thousands, more than just, but I know that with EOU's records still in the system and them not being visible, they display funny in the system, and so I guess I'm trying to figure out whether they're the culprit or we truly have more empty bibs.
Well, this has existed from day one with Evergreen.
Well, it has, and that's why I targeted creating lots and lots of lists and spending time deleting them. But if we still have a problem out there, I will target it again. It'll just be...
Have you ever figured out why they're there?
Well, some of it, a lot of it, is just problems that were just never fixed. I mean, it was back from migration where we brought over empty bibs, but we also found that we had some libraries, either due to training or whatever, were bringing in records from OCLC multiple times and never adding holdings to them. And
Yeah,
that was
these are
with the
different.
more recent ones.
Yeah, this is a little different. This is these are usually older books, older items, and there's just a lot there. And I don't know
Some of
if
the
they were ghost records or what happened.
Yeah, and sometimes what I found was the item would be gone, but back from when we first migrated and we didn't have the volume automatically deleted, there would be like an empty volume sticking around that was preventing the bib from being deleted. And because there was no item attached, you wouldn't see any holdings display. So it just appears empty, but the reason it's not gone is because there's a volume stuck to it. And so I may need to create a report of those, look for empty volumes.
Yeah, someday, you know, especially if I could be there with you in person, I would be fascinated. I don't know why they're there, but I will send some more examples, and I'll ask Cheryl to keep some as well, and we'll get them to you, and maybe we'll find a universal reason for why they're there and how to find them all and get rid of them with some kind of global work.
Yeah, I know I have some government documents that were loaded and never got items attached to them because of the way EOU brought in their records from archive. So I've been dealing with deleting a lot of government documents that have no attached items as well. But you said yours was a different group of records, so we'll keep targeting it. Thanks for mentioning it.
Okay, and I will. I'll watch and I'll keep some examples for you. But I know to ignore the government document cases. I realize they're a different problem.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to being able to delete them from the system. I'm going to contact EOU and say, okay, you guys have been migrated since December. Is it time? So we'll see.
Is everyone aware of how to view holdings outside of the record on the front side that go to the holdings management and see who has a holding there? Because normally all you see is whatever library you're working in. I just discovered this a few months back, and so I'm just wondering if other people are aware of it also.
As far as I know, it's hard to know.
Well, I'm just thinking that might be helpful to be able to
Yeah.
see where there might be a holding, whether it's just a volume or, you know, if you're looking and you say there's nothing attached, but you can at least see that there's something still there.
Do you think we should do a blog post on it, Dia?
It might not hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do a blog post on that. Sounds good. I've been trying to get more people alert to using holdings management, especially folks at level 2 who may not have permission to delete a bib record, but in the event that they find a duplicate, can use holdings management to move all the resources to one of the 2 MARC records, and then the other one will be eliminated automatically.
David, they wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't their library, though.
Right.
Oh, they wouldn't.
No.
In a situation where maybe they imported a bib record that they didn't need to, they would not be able to move their item to the prior bib in the system?
Oh, sure, they can move theirs
Right,
to a new bib. Yeah. They just wouldn't be able to move somebody else's.
Okay.
And we're talking holdings maintenance, right? Not
Yeah.
holdings. Okay.
Yeah.
I always get mixed up and call it management instead of maintenance, but yeah.
I figured that's what you guys are talking about. I just wanted to make sure. Thanks for volunteering to do that, David.
Okay, well, that Yeah, that'll be good. I'm curious. I'm actually not seeing as many empty bibs myself lately, but I'm also wondering if I'm kind of tuning them out. So be curious to hear if there's a, what the ongoing issue is to pay attention to. Okay, the last thing on the agenda is the survey results. And Beth, you said they're posted on the website now? Is that right, or they're going to be posted on the website? Are you guys hearing me? I'm wondering about the results. I assume this is the survey the cataloging survey that was done, I guess this winter. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, and I was on mute when I was telling you.
It's okay.
I realized
Oh,
she
okay.
didn't hear me. I was on mute. So yeah, if you click on the cataloging committee link,
Okay.
it's right there in front of you. Yeah. Okay.
Let me see if I can get it from up here.
Yeah, let's try that one.
Okay.
The other one's wrong. I need to fix that.
There it is.
Okay. So yeah, patron survey. If you click on that, it'll open up a new tab. So I've created, this is the summary that I sent out, I think on the Sage listserv a while back. So, but then following the summary down at the very end, there's a link to the actual spreadsheet or if you want to see everything. So we've taken some of the feedback from the survey and already implemented some changes. Series and summaries seem to be pretty important to people. So we tried to make those preeminent. But we're obviously going to take these survey results and try and incorporate more changes. The other thing Brent and I have been doing is adding more help instructions on the catalog website, so that because some of the feedback we got from the results was they weren't understanding how to do something, whether to get into their account or various things. So we've added some more help instructions. Trying to think, but yeah.
Sounds great.
Some good feedback. Worth looking over.
Yeah, I know I'll be looking over it some more. Thank you for posting it. Does anyone else have comments or questions? Have library joins? Some of the comments are a little.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to read some of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Does everyone see where to find this information? We can look it over. Is there anything in particular here that the factors into the measurements that we were going to use for the grant?
Yes. One of the things that we're going to need to do towards the end of the grant period is to redo this survey to see if patron satisfaction has increased. One of the grant aims is to, I think, increase patron satisfaction by, I can't even remember the percentage, might be 25%.
Okay.
So we have to show some improvement. I don't know. I mean, our overall rating was pretty high already. It was 4.29 out of 5, which is encouraging. But the fact that they gave suggestions and some people were still unhappy. You know, I don't know whether I guess maybe just we'll have to talk as a cataloging committee whether we just ask the same questions so that the results are comparing apples to apples. Hate to change things and have that skew the results, but basically we'll want to repeat the survey towards the end.
Okay.
That was my thinking, was just that we were going to reuse the same survey questions.
Okay, I'm glad that thinking the same way, but yeah, that's something we have to keep in mind, that we're going to redo this survey and see if we get different results. But we'll want to address some of the main things that people bring up between now and then.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good. And okay, for now, I think I will, I'll let all of us look at it on our own, and if anyone would like a topic addressed specifically at the meeting, at an upcoming meeting, please let me or whoever's chair at that time, let us know. But otherwise, we'll wait until we're ready to getting close to redoing the survey and talk about particulars then. It looks like some of the comments are things, as I'm looking at it, I think, oh, I might be able to personally address these to some extent too in our library. So I'll make sure to bring them up with the director and welcome you guys to do that.
Yeah, I think some of these points are just a little more emphasis on catalogers throughout the system, adding genre tags and summaries to records that don't have them at time of import.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, is there anything else that anyone would like to bring up or have us talk about before we end the meeting? Or suggestions of topics that you'd like to address in the future?
This is Dee. I just have one quick question on attendees. Someone has joined us named Tracy Hayes, and I just need to know what library they're associated with. Please.
I'm Lake County Library.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I will adjourn our meeting then. Thank you all for attending and contributing, and we'll plan the next meeting. This will be in 2 months. So the first Monday in October is October 5th. Wow, October. That doesn't sound quite right, but let me know if I'm wrong. But right now the meeting will be planned for October 5th, 2015 at 11 a.m. Please let me know if you are willing to consider being the chair of the cataloging committee. It sounds like a typical period is about a year, so it doesn't have to be. I overshot that this last time, but it doesn't have to be indefinite, and it would be very helpful. All right, thank you all for tuning in.
Thanks, Sarah.
Oh, thank you.
Good week.